Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 10 Minute Marvel. Today on 10 Minute Marvel we have some news, a few rumors, and then we're going to be talking about a video that Screen Crush put out on how they think we're going to be leading into Secret Wars, Doomsday, things like that, based off of, well, some of Agatha All Along and some storylines that might be getting pulled from. So, I'm Peder, the only person who really knows what's going to be happening in Doomsday. And joining me, as always, we have.
Hey everybody, it's the illegitimate synthesoid son of White Vision after many sad nights in a nearby Best Buy. It is Greg. I'm back. We are back. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And if you are looking for ways to support us, you can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Find us and follow us on Facebook and X. Hashtag 10 Minute Marvel is how you can find us there. And of course, you can leave a rating and review wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from. Please hit us up, find us, comment, do all those things you're supposed to do for us lovely YouTube and podcast kids.
Yes. So let's kick it off here with the few rumors that we had. Um, First two rumors from Holyfield M5, who's it's a name that I've seen before, but basically that in Doctor Strange 3, both Doctor Doom and Loki are going to be showing up in that movie.
Yeah,
It if it comes out, I mean,
it's
even if it comes out like after Doomsday, sure, that sounds right.
it's kind of like a safe rumor. Like I'm gonna toss a
Mhm.
safe one out there
Yeah,
just for some street cred.
yeah,
And hey,
yeah. Doctor
I shouldn't.
Doom, I
That's fine.
fully expect, but Loki's a little bit more out there, just because he seems to be more entrenched in the TV side of things now, at least where he was left. So you would have to do a little bit of lifting to explain like what's going on with him, unless that's part of Doomsday. Could be.
Yeah, I could see him. I guess sneak him in, but it is kind of left field for sure. Uh,
I mean, it's multiverse, so it's not left field, but I go by kind of the theory that Marvel wants TV shows to provide some Easter eggs and like background details for movies, but movies are going to be the main focus, like the main storylines driving stuff forward. And in that case, it's like Loki did a bunch. So how are you going to catch a movie audience up on that if they haven't watched Loki season two?
Fair, fair point. I can maybe see like it'd be more of a post-credit thing. I don't know, like Loki's just sitting there in his chair and holding on to all the
Hmm.
timeline stories, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
And then he's
they're
like,
just they're just starting to like disappear in his
yeah,
grasp.
like you see him sense something like a one of the roots, if we'll call it, like fades out or something,
Hmm.
or multiple do at a time, and he kind of like you see him kind of I don't know, twist his head or something and be like, what the
Yeah,
heck? So
yeah, yeah. Then I I didn't spot the who this rumor came from, but apparently the rumor is that Marvel is trying to get Tom Holland's Spider-Man to cameo in Daredevil Born Again. I would assume season two. Season one's wrapped and it's not that long till that comes out.
oh, I can't wait.
Mhm.
I mean, I would love to for him to show up. I think that'd be great.
Mhm.
Um, it must be important. Why because I think what they're trying to, what the whole thing that the Sony Marvel thing and Spider-Man is that they have to try and now figure out how to tie this in.
Mhm.
And maybe that they feel that this has to be something that has to happen or should happen or could happen that would help, I don't know, like kind of jump people to it's necessary for the movie to come out for the Spider-Man
Mhm.
3, 4, whatever it is, 4.
Four.
So
Yeah, but that still goes against kind of that theory that I just talked about that the TV shows are meant to kind of inform and add extra flavor to the movies. So if it's necessary for him to be there, then they're going to have to re-explain it in the movie anyways. At least that's how
I
I look at
mean,
it.
sure.
So,
Yeah, if you're going with that, but I mean, I would think that they're willing to bend the rules a little bit to
yeah.
because it just seems like they're kind of it's getting not forced, but I don't know. They don't have full control over this storyline, so I think they have to try and finagle a little bit, massage things a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah, well, and I know that like it's kind of this hey, Spider-Man shows up in something and there's another Marvel character who shows up in Spider-Man is kind of how they've worked it. So if Spider-Man isn't showing up in Doomsday, um, and they want to get a character like Sony and Marvel have a very specific character or characters that are Marvel property, not versus Sony. It could be like, hey, we need to get Tom Holland into something else just based on the wording of the contract or
Hmm.
like the agreement for sharing the character. So
Yeah,
it could be something just as simple and as that, also as weird as that. But I think the idea too is that Spider-Man tends to be a player in like the Wilson Fisk as mayor
hmm.
storyline.
Right.
And so it's like, well, do you want to cut that element out completely? Especially if they're bringing in more street level characters.
I think fan-wise, people would want Spider-Man in there, but
hmm I think so too. Final rumor, Franklin Richards will reportedly have a major role in Doomsday. And Marvel is looking for like a 10 to 13-year-old kid to cast for that role. Um, this is a Daniel RPK one. We've heard previous rumors that they're looking to cast a Franklin Richards, so makes sense.
yep, just out of that age bracket that they're looking for.
I
God
know,
darn it,
so close.
man, could have had that part.
hmm You can play the old version who like travels back in time.
Yeah,
It's warn
yeah. Where'd your
him.
hair go? Don't worry about it, son.
All right. So then on to the news because like I mean, there's not much to talk about with that one. Feels like.
No, no. Let's
Yeah.
just keep rolling.
First off, we have Daphne Keene saying that or repeating what she said before that she really wants to continue playing X-23 as long as she can.
Um, yeah, I rewatched Deadpool and Wolverine last night, actually.
hmm
Um, yeah, why not? Keep her in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's good. She's so good in that role.
yeah, she was great, and she didn't have a super huge part, and there's a little bit. She had some chances to shine there, and she did, and
hmm
um, yeah, I don't know. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Why not? That's what the fans want, I think.
Yes. Also, Denzel Washington on the Today Show, I believe it was.
Uh, it was some no, it was some morning show in Australia.
Was it? Okay.
And he dropped he might or he has Ryan Coogler working on a script for a character for him
Yeah,
in the
Ryan
next Black.
Coogler is working on a character for him in Black Panther 3. So
Hmm.
that's that is a fun one.
I don't know what like I don't have enough knowledge of all the Black Panther comics out there to really
hmm
choose who he'd be. If he's like an older Killmonger somehow, or that wouldn't really make any sense. Um,
So a couple of the ideas people tossed out there with this are one was Blue Marvel.
oh yeah,
However,
nice.
I don't know. I think people just kind of like the idea of Blue Marvel, especially with because doesn't Isaiah Bradley tie in a little bit or some things that they've maybe something that they've done, but I don't know that Blue Marvel heavily ties into Black Panther lore.
I mean, they're together in the Ultimates, but
Yeah,
otherwise, for Blue Marvel, it would almost have to be something. What is that in the 60s or 70s is when kind of that whole.
yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that they'd have to have the character as it's not like an origin thing. It's just he's there, he's been there
hmm
for some reason, not ever mentioned. Um,
Yeah.
so,
The other one was
but yes,
Bashanga.
please. Who's that?
So Bashenga is the first king of Wakanda, and first Black Panther.
Oh,
So it would have to tie into like ancestral plane, um,
yeah,
that sort of thing. And that feels like a distinct possibility. Like he'd
right.
be good as kind of
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
that founder.
That was
And
where
pe
I kind of saw him. I mean, not like to, no, not to be ageist. Ageist, is that a word?
yes,
Um, but it just felt like he was going to be more of a
a one
not a
and done.
father figure, but yeah,
Yeah.
kind of just a certain role, nothing for longevity, but
Hmm.
have kind of a very grandiose role as some sort of godfather, not godfather. I can't think of the word.
Spirit guide, like
Yeah,
yeah. I
insert words here.
mhm.
Yes.
I like that idea of kind of that force ghost. He's gonna be a force ghost in this.
You
We're
know,
gonna get
like
our first crossover.
yeah, Ghost Dog? It's gonna be Ghost Dog taking the place of. Oh, I can't fulfill that joke because I can't remember the guy's name. Okay, anyways, continue.
But yeah,
Forrest Whitaker.
that's
Got it. There it is.
that seems a little bit more likely to me, especially because I mean he Denzel is talking about retiring from acting too. So
Yeah, I think he was also saying that in an interview, like he's really just looking for big roles, right? So like
yep.
Gladiator 2 and some larger money makers, because yeah, I'm sure he's gonna start saving up so he can ease into retirement.
Hmm. Yeah. And stuff there he can show up and then be done.
Hmm.
All right. Next up, we had the What If Season 3 trailer. That came out the day, of course, the day after we recorded.
Hmm.
The day after the podcast came out, though, so it's no longer has weird overlap. But I thought that trailer was a lot of fun.
Wow, there's a lot going on in that trailer.
Yeah.
There's uh, like I didn't like recognize a lot of it too. It took like a couple watches for me to be like, oh, okay. Oh, there. Okay, I get that.
Hmm.
But it was a lot of different. It's different, it seems like this year. It
Hmm.
seems like it's a lot newer teams or characters and not
Yeah.
as tied to the previous two seasons.
Yeah.
So not that they're all tied together necessarily, but you know, it just seemed like some fresher characters and faces. So
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it too. Is every episode, or like what you kind of pull apart as different episodes, felt different. Like there was the Gundam or
that one's crazy.
Voltron type thing
Yeah.
going on, which that looked awesome. I'm excited for that episode already.
I'm not
The
even like that much of a fan of it. Like I like
yeah.
Gundam and like, but it does look like a lot of fun. Like
Hmm.
that's no lie. So
Yeah, and the Western one
yeah, that's
looked.
interesting.
Hmm. And then, as we were talking about on the news last week, confirmed in this trailer that Storm will be wielding Mjolnir,
I mean, what about the Red Guardian?
the Red Guardians in there too.
Sorry, that was a callback to that
And
problem I
then,
had with figuring out what the hell that question was you're asking.
yes, yes. And then Corti showed up again in the trailer. I
Yep.
wonder if she's going to be a character that maybe ties through a little bit.
Yeah, and she didn't have like I don't think she had all of her face paint on and stuff like that, right? She had more of
Yeah.
an like just her straight face look. What her straight face look? Whatever that means. And then Birdie is Natasha Leone. Is that her name?
Yes. Yep. And Birdie is a new character,
Yeah.
like never before in comics or anything.
So what did they do with that? I wonder why they did that. I
Because
mean, go ahead.
it's a chance for them to test out a new character and like create some stuff that's unique for the cinematic universe in a place where they can always just say if that episode flops, well, it's a what if scenario.
Right. It's a sandbox. I get it. I
Hmm.
guess that makes sense. But that's a pretty big name to toss in there just to pilot something. No pun
Well,
intended, since she
yeah,
has bird arms. Pilot. Get it?
yeah.
So
Wasn't
she must
she?
have a unique backstory. That's what I'm guessing. Like
Mhm.
she must there must be something interesting about her that they're doing.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to remember because she joined the cast of Fantastic Four as well.
See, couldn't remember whether she had. I knew she had been
Yeah,
cast as
so
something, but
Variety
yeah,
from May 15th, Natasha Leone joins Marvel's Fantastic Four cast. So is she going to be playing Birdie in that as well? Like, are they going from introducing the character in What If? I know that the thought was that potentially you're going to have John Malkovich playing Puppet Master, and Natasha Leone could be playing Alicia Masters, um, Ben Grimm's girlfriend,
mm,
blind girlfriend. So does this completely throw that out the window if they're having her voice the character in What If?
right. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. You would think that they would do something kind of fun where they tie the character together and bring Birdie
Hmm.
into Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
but at the same time, Alicia Masters makes pretty good sense too.
Hmm. Now, there's been rumors that there was a rumor last week that John Malkovich wasn't going to be playing Puppet Master, but maybe playing Kragoff, the
Right?
scientist. So then that opens stuff up a little bit more because do you even bring in Alicia Master or
May-
not? Like that's if you have
Maybe she's
Puppet
going to be
Master,
an ape.
sure. Yeah, could be. Or maybe part of Kragoff's experiments, they're different. They're not
Oh, yeah.
all primate based. He's trying to recreate the accident, the situation that caused the Fantastic Four to come into existence, and he creates Birdie.
A bird accidentally swoops in at the last moment and
Hmm.
the laser goes through the bird and then hits Natasha's character. Yeah. Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
I mean,
Classic.
yep, that is,
Classic. Classic bird.
but that, I mean, that would be the type of cheesy classic, like 60s how somebody got their superhero powers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That'll be kind of I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Hmm. But then, speaking of Fantastic Four, our last piece of news, and I'm gonna read off this whole first synopsis for Fantastic Four First Steps. I already did this once on a video. I guarantee you that it's going to be equally as rough as last time. Set
I
against
want
the
it in a
vibe.
Australian, please, Australian accent. Can I have that?
No, no.
Okay,
Uh,
all right,
I
fine.
don't do that. Set against the vibrant background of a 1960s inspired retro futuristic world, forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond. The Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic hero, or herald, Silver Surfer. And if Galactus's plan to devour the entire planet and everyone on it wasn't bad enough, suddenly it gets very personal.
I think you could do better. Let's try again. Take two.
All right then, set
There we
against.
go. Sitting now back. Um, the most the thing that hung with me the most in that whole thing is the what makes it personal,
Mhm.
right? I don't know.
Everything else is what we knew and kind of what we expected. We've known the casting of the Silver Surfer. We know the casting of Galactus. Oh,
Is Galactus a
cannot.
god?
Now, that is, he technically, Galactus is not a god, but it could just be a way to refer to
Yeah,
him without naming like where he falls in the hierarchy of everything.
right. That's fair.
Yeah.
It makes me. I mean, you're gonna have Valeria, right? And so you got the kids involved
Theoretically,
theoretically.
well, the assumption is the kids are involved, but I say theoretically because Joseph Quinn has said they have 2 weeks left of filming, so probably a week and a half now, and they're looking to cast Franklin Richards for Doomsday.
Hmm.
So, do you have the kids cast in here, or are they going to kind of play it off as the like these events occur? And maybe the kids are very young and different actors playing them. And then in Doomsday, they're older.
Yeah. If because where I was going with that is like if it's it's somehow the kids are, I don't know, taken, stolen,
Hmm.
whatever, that's where it gets personal. I'm trying to think what else, where the personal part would come into play.
So there's been a rumor that like the relationship between Doom and Reed is going to be a little bit different, that they're not necessarily going to be as antagonistic towards each other. So what if it's they collaborate to try and solve this problem that's happening, this issue that's occurring, and then Doom, like Reed is still trying to search for a solution that can save their world and save everybody. And Doom's like, you know what? I have a better idea. And does something different or tricks Reed in some way into helping him kind of destroy their world, save part of it, and kind of kick off a battle world building. Something like that.
Yeah. Does Doom have the hots for Sue? I don't know.
Generally, yes.
So
That's another
it,
spot. Yeah.
what I kind of is, I don't think this is actually a thing, but when I was looking at their like that first image that we got to see of them, and you got Ben and Johnny in the background, and Sue sitting down, right? It was like the first, it was like
The Valentine's Day thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
that one. And Sue's got her hands up in the air in the shape of a V almost. And it's, I don't know if that really, I was thinking V for Victor. I'm like, is that like some like stupid hint? I don't know. I doubt it, but
Yeah.
my mind
I doubt
wanders
it.
sometimes.
I doubt it too, but so in Secret Wars, it probably is worth mentioning kind of how that all works is so on Earth 616, they create this raft to basically save some people. The raft falls apart, and Reed isn't able to save his kids, his wife, Johnny, and Ben. So he's the only one who makes it there. But there's a Sue who is, I don't know if it's wife, but basically at the side of God Emperor Doom. And you have the two kids. Johnny is perpetually in the sky, like blazing as the sun. And Ben is a wall that divides um
Oh yeah. From the zombies, right?
yep,
Yep.
yes.
Yep, I remember that now.
So I mean that I don't think Marvel Cinematic Universe will go into all of that, but could it be something where Doom separates Reed from his family?
Right. I just, yeah, it's that personal part that I just,
Hmm.
lots of possibilities with it. So,
Yes.
mhm. All right, on to main topic.
Yes, on to the main topic.
So it's kind of something, I guess, a little bit different for us to kind
React.
of, yeah, kind of react to a theory, I
Hmm.
guess. It was a theory that Screen Crush,
Binary.
Airy, thank you, had kind of come up with, and I think it was Colton Osborne,
Colton.
Osborne.
Yeah.
I sorry, totally
Colton.
butchering his name. Colton, we'll call him the man stuck in the television. Nobody tells him. So I think it was actually his theory too. He does a lot of the writing. And it's an interesting theory of how Wanda is incorporated in and how things kind of play out and how the universe gets reset after Secret Wars, right?
Hmm.
So it's kind of a lot to it, but I thought it was interesting, and it ties in things pretty well, and it gives us a lot of screen time. I would say probably to Scarlet Witch, and makes her crazy important. But I thought we should maybe talk about it and just see what your thoughts were initially on it,
Hmm.
and any flaws or any things that you didn't like about it. And we can kind of go through it
Yeah, let's
for the
walk through
audience
it.
here. And
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you
uh,
walk us through it and then
oh
we
man,
can discuss and react a
ooh.
little bit to it.
Okay, and so I went through it, tried to hit some of the main points of it.
Hmm.
So I'm going to try and kind of reiterate this as best I can, um, and hopefully it makes sense. So, if please jump in at any point in time
Hmm.
and correct me or to help me make this make sense. So Wanda, Mount Wundagore, right, falls on her soul, astral form, whatever you want to call it, leaves, escapes, if you will, and basically decides to find herself or a new version of her in a different universe, one that fits well and that just like in WandaVision, she regressed to this time period when she felt safe. So
Hmm.
that was back in her hometown. Was it what's just not Sokovia? Was it Sokovia? Is that where
Um,
she's from? It's I can't remember the actual city because Sokovia
yeah.
is a country.
Hmm.
So just whatever that place is called. She went back there and she basically that was where she felt comfortable watching those videos with her family, right? And that's kind of how WandaVision became a thing because that's her regression. She regressed back to that time period. So that being said, her astral form now has found a different Wanda in a different universe. This universe happens to have Doom in it, and he
Hmm.
is ruling in uh,
Latveria.
Latveria. So in the Wanda in that universe,
Basically, the idea kind of is that there isn't a Sokovia in that universe. It's that her city and everything it would be in Latveria, I
yeah, but
believe.
she trusts Doom because the way Doom has become ruler in that country is that he kind of does what Doom does, right? He makes people trust him.
Hmm.
He and people follow him and trust him, and they think he's doing the right thing, and it very much seems like he's doing the right thing, but really deep down, he's doing it for Doom. He's doing it for power, right?
Hmm.
Um, or doing it to try and save his mom. You could have
Yes.
that argument as well. So
Both.
she ends up kind of being by Doom's side, maybe in love, maybe whatever, in a relationship, whatever you want to say, or he's kind of coaxed her into that role because he knows that he needs her for what he's trying to do. So, anyways, Wanda is in this new body with Doom, and she kind of has these maybe dual memories a little bit, these feelings of trust with Doom, but also those feelings of wanting, I don't know, like that family, looking for her
Hmm.
kids kind of thing. Um, so the idea is why does Doom need her? And that's because her magic, her dark, like she's got the dark hold, right? Kind of that's, well, I don't know if that's what she has necessarily, but she knows how to use it, I think, or she had used it for dream walking. And I
Hmm.
think that is what Doom is looking to do to use that because he wants to find all the different Wandas because Wanda is in this case like the Molecule Man,
Yep.
right? So kind of switch those two characters and in the MCU version, Wanda will be the Molecule Man version, the thing that is universally the same in every universe. And when you remove that being, in this case Wanda, from those universes, you create basically are creating incursions, just like
Yes.
dreamwalking created incursions, just like trying to cast a spell to make everybody forget you to all these things have been happening to break down the walls between universes, and this is kind of like one of the big ones. So what Doom is trying to do is get all these Wandas, and that should break down the universe. And then I think he's trying to cause all these incursions because he thinks that it's going to like. I think his goal, I can't remember, was it to kill all universes, to get it all down to one, and he could rule it. That's kind of what
I
I
think
think it
so.
was. So, and then what else? What else am I missing here?
They talked some Children's Crusade stuff in there as well.
Yes. So since she had lost her memories, right?
Hmm.
And kind of doesn't remember all that, just one or Billy and Tommy, Wiccan and Speed, and then the Young Avengers are going to try and locate her.
Hmm.
But I think it ends up his Reiner's theory was that actually it was Strange and Wiccan. Strange would kind of take Wiccan under his wing and teach him how to use magic better, yada yada, right? And they end up trying to go and find Wanda in this case. So I know that that was part of where the Crusades kind of
Hmm.
dipped in. So,
Yep.
um,
So, yeah, is there anything else that stands out to you from your notes that you missed?
um, I think it really just comes down to that point where Doom is trying to execute this goal of his. And in Ryan's theory, Wanda's able to defeat Doom and ends up recreating the universe with,
Mhm. Yeah, so it'd probably be something like Tommy and Billy find her and connect with her. And because Doom is basically borrowing her powers, much like he was borrowing the Molecules Man's powers, she says, no, you can't have them anymore, and strips Doom of some level of his powers. Obviously, he still has whatever he had originally, but not enough to do that. And then probably with the two of Wiccan and Wanda, they reform the multiverse or kick off a true new universe for MCU.
yeah, there was one other little bit, kind of more backstory, was he was touching on the characters of eternity, infinity, death, and entropy.
Hmm.
And so death, we know we have death now. That is a character, it's Aubrey Plaza, right? And um
Eternity.
we've had eternity, and then there's infinity, and then the entropy. And entropy and oblivion seem to be kind of maybe the same character in this case, but entropy's role is basically death and rebirth of the universe. And I think, let's see, what was Chthon had some involvement there too. I made a note on that, I think.
You hope.
I just remember Chthon was, yeah, I don't know where I put it though. Oh,
Yeah.
he was an agent. He's an agent of entropy. So, and he created the Darkhold because he needed, there was kind of like that. That was like the thing that can almost be the scapegoat of how this whole breakdown of existence happens, and then
Hmm.
gets the a rebirth afterwards. So when you got Chthon, right, you got the Darkhold. The Darkhold has is part of Wanda. And so that is Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. She was the one
Yeah.
to be it. So,
She's taps into Entropy's powers,
yep,
basically. And so she is short, like Doom is trying to shortcut the end of the universe and restart it by using her powers to create his own world that he can rule.
right. So hopefully that kind of made sense. Those are like the big pieces of it all.
Yep.
Oof, it was a lot.
Hmm.
So, is it too far out there, do you think? Is it too much, or do you think it's something that could be pulled off?
It feels like a touch too much. Um, Mainly the Children's Crusade element to it. That feels like it would be its own separate thing, kind of.
I think so. I think they could tie that, like they could pull that in, and it's almost like in tandem, or like you release the Children's Crusade in the middle, or you had the Young Avengers kind of show up.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, to me, the Young Avengers are a bit too much to try and fit in there in terms of a separate, unique, like story element for the films. Now, certainly you could do a Young Avengers show, considering that's where we've basically seen the Young Avengers is on the shows, and do something that maybe connects into it as but won't be a major piece
Don't we have
to it.
another? We have two Avenger movies though, right?
We have Doomsday and Secret Wars.
So, I mean, could Secret Wars maybe? Well, wait,
Secret Wars is just going to have to be,
that's the final finale
yeah.
thing, right? So, I'm just trying to think. Can you have like that? How they did an Endgame, where they split the two people, it's kind of groups up, and
Hmm.
they each did their own thing,
But
so that they come together at the end.
yeah, I think
But
they'll do something like that. I think we'll see characters that we recognize and are familiar with scattered across the world, the battle world. I just don't think it's not going to focus on the Young Avengers because they're TV characters primarily at this point.
yeah,
So you don't want to have in your finale team up movie a lot of work introducing characters again. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I land on that. Now the idea of Wanda being the one to replace the Molecule Man, sure. I actually kind of like that idea.
I was just gonna ask, what do you do? Yeah, I think it gives justice to Wanda, right?
Hmm.
It gives her more of a full circle storyline, and
Hmm. Yeah.
um, I did like that.
Hmm. I'm not sure it will go precisely the way that he thinks in there. Like, are they going to do, and in all fairness, this comes as a theory immediately following Agatha all along. So the idea of the soul going and finding a new host is something that's very fresh in the people who were creating this theory, their mind.
Yeah,
I think it's equally as likely that Doom snatches her out of the universe. Like before she's crushed, he pulls her from Mount Wundagore to whatever universe this Doom is coming from.
yeah, that's true.
Because
You could kind of shortcut it. It's not a shortcut necessarily, but it's a little bit simpler explanation
Mhm.
versus trying to explain she's got this her old memories mixed in with this new Wanda body's memories, and they're kind of mixed and matched. And so but it does kind of work out, I don't know, just to have her trust Doom.
Mhm.
It makes I think that's it. I almost rather have that than to be like witchcraft pulling out these thoughts and feelings and
Yeah.
whatever else from Wanda to gain power.
Mhm.
Now, if he had Agatha, he could probably drain the
Yeah.
power, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something freely given. I think that like I could see the idea of him stepping in just as she is like given her full acceptance to the fact that she is going to die on Mount Wundagore and like her power expended, kind of destroying the Darkhold across the multiverse, but she still has the powers of entropy, the powers of the Scarlet Witch. So Doom grabs her and says, like, praises her for doing a good thing, praises her for doing the right thing, giving her kind of that positive feedback that her character, always has looked for. And because she feels like she messes up quite often
Hmm.
and basically being like, I have an opportunity for you to do something so important to save the multiverse.
Now, there's one hitch to that is that you're dealing with Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Doom, and that would
Mask.
be, oh, just the mask. Just
Yeah,
gonna believe a guy in a mask. Just kidding.
she's
It
done before.
just
No.
she believed a synthezoid. I mean,
Yeah.
um, that was my only kind of thing is that, you can't put her into this different universe and then expect her to like follow a guy in a mask or follow a guy that is a spitting image of Tony Stark who's dead to her.
Hmm.
And so
But I
having
think,
these mixed memories of like the the two Wandas together works a little more smoothly, I would say.
yeah, well, it doesn't have to be the mask, I don't think is a big deal. I think the idea that this is, well, it could be wild too if
He
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 shows
plays the
up.
Tony.
Yeah, he pretends like he is Tony.
Yeah.
But it also could be because it doesn't have to be an instant, I trust you. It can be like basically come with me so you don't die, and I'll give you an opportunity to save the universe. And she could question it. Like once she's gone with him in the new world, she could be like, what what do you have that's gonna make this happen? Why, like you're a man in a mask. I've known many and some of them are trying to do the right thing. You can probably hear thumping upstairs, but
I can't hit. No.
uh, others have done the wrong thing. And he's going to show her this beautiful Latveria, this land that is green, where people love him as a ruler, whether or not they all actually do. But he's going to present to her this wonderful world and basically say, like, this is what I envision. The multiverse is dying. This is what I want to save and what I want to create for everybody.
But apples are going to be $18.
Hmm.
Sorry, that was an X-Men
Yes.
97 reference.
Yep.
Um,
But it's that sort of thing where he can walk her through this beautiful looking world and play it a little bit slower
Yeah,
that way.
that would definitely, I feel like, have to be the case.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, I think I really like the Wanda idea with all this. I don't quite understand yet how the Children's Crusade can fit in without having, I don't know. It seems like the at this time for us, we just don't have a spot for that to play out. Unless
Hmm.
it is on Disney Plus, but I
But
feel
if
like
it's not,
that's a weird crossover.
yeah.
It would be kind of cool if you could play that out and it's close enough to Secret Wars, I guess. Because Secret Wars
Mhm.
is going to end up having to have Battle World into it, so it can't be all just
It's not going to be all MCU characters, but this is going to be a chance for them to, like, we were expecting more Fox X-Men characters to show up in Deadpool and Wolverine, and they didn't. They didn't do Storm, they didn't do Cyclops, they didn't do Jean Grey, they didn't do Mystique, they didn't do Charles, they didn't do all these different characters. It's a chance also to bring back Andrew Garfield. It's a chance to do some other things like that. I think that's going to be a lot of the different pieces that we see. I would love for them to be like, oh yeah, and over here in this section of the world, yeah, this is the one section of the world where we had brooding Nick Fury and the secret Skrulls secret invasion. That's a completely different universe.
yeah, we just block them off. They're not allowed to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah. And
Um,
I think that's a chance to bring in characters like Horty, Birdie, if they don't bring Birdie in sooner.
right. But do you think that Secret Wars is going to be all on Battle World, or is it going to be the other half? Like it's going to be kind of the conclusion of how they get to Battle World, or do you think I'm trying to think of how they cut it? Are they going to
So
cut it so that the beginning of Secret Wars when that comes out is going to be right into Battle World, and it's going to be a 2.5 to 3 hour movie on Battle World, or is it
I
a lot of this going to happen earlier on?
So I, my mind, how this would work is you have in Doomsday, you have the Avengers going up against Doom. Battle World is being created, and we're kind of getting story elements of that. We actually get Doctor Strange siding with and working with Doom to some extent, just trying like realizing what's going on and understanding that there's no way to save the universe fully. Not trusting Doom, but just being like, we have to preserve something, much like you see in what the lead up to Battle World Secret Wars in the comics. And then it ends with Doom kind of winning. Um, Winning in the sense that an incursion is coming, and the heroes of Earth don't have a way to stop it. And so the first, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes of Secret Wars would be them trying to come up with a way to stop it. Like the idea, the imagery of that other world in the sky. And then some of the characters, whoever that might be, creating that raft, that way to get to Battle World. Or that way to stay alive after the incursion. And so that those characters then become our point of view characters on Battle World until some of them until we cut over to some other characters who we thought were dead. And now all of a sudden they're on Battle World too, but they're working with Doom and or within Doom's society, and we realize, oh, these aren't the ones that we knew fully. So it's not all on Battle World,
Yeah.
but the
It
majority
feels
of it
like
will be.
it feels like having the incursion take place and the rescue ship kind of getting out in time with whoever on it. That's where you end Doomsday. Or if they were to break Secret Wars into two movies, you'd end the first one there and the second one picks up on Battleworld. That feels better to me. That way you can, I'm not saying there's going to be
Mhm.
a split between the Secret Wars, but
Yeah.
it just Doomsday is one thing. Secret Wars has got two parts, and it's the beginning of Secret Wars is that
Yeah, I would disagree a little bit there. Obviously, this is my theory, but I
It just
think
because it feels like two separate movies that way. It feels like two separate. It's like Guns N' Roses, the blue album and then the yellow album or the red album. No, it was yellow. Whatever. It's like they're two different things, but there's a good part between them. That's a terrible analogy. I don't know why I brought that one up. Sorry.
but I get what you're going for there. I think you have Doomsday do some of the heavy lifting, kind of like we had with. I mean,
That's
you think
that's so
about
much. So
Endgame,
much.
though. Like you think about it, what Infinity War does. It sets up and explains like Infinity Gauntlet. It explains how this whole situation is working. The heroes kind of lose, definitely lose at the end of that. And then Endgame is kind of those two different elements to it. We have the heroes trying to come up with a plan, and then we have the enacting of the plan. Actually, three different elements: come up with a plan, enact the plan, and then the final battle. And obviously, the final battle's fairly short, but that's a very different feel in some ways than the rest of the movie. And so I think you could have, like, you start out with that. That's why I think probably like 30 minutes of 20 to 30 minutes probably is more realistic than 30 to 40 of the characters trying to save their world. It picks up instead of that 5 years later, it picks up for our heroes immediately after the events of Doomsday. And then it flows right into the events on Battleworld with because that gives us characters that we know for our perspective on Battleworld.
I don't disagree with that, but like at the same time, I feel like the Russos are gonna want to have that same feeling of what happened at the snap, right? Like everybody
Mhm.
was like, like
Well, that's where
where
you
so where is that gonna end in Doomsday? Like what is it? What's your cut point there?
so you have basically you have Doom escape trigger the events of the incursion, and you see the second Earth in the sky, and you cut. So you're
Like Black
left,
Panther, that image of Black Panther looking up and seeing the
yes, yep.
okay.
Like that would be such an iconic image that would stick with people and be like, okay, what's going to happen? Like these worlds are colliding. We've set this up in Doomsday that this is kind of how this works. What are the heroes going to do? And then start with basically the mass. Like imagine a first shot of like the last shot is that one character looking up into the sky and seeing the other Earth. And then the first shot of the next one is just mass panic in New York City.
It's
Uh,
yeah. There's just I think from the comic, and I guess I should compare, but there's a lot that happens in between
right.
like what Black Panther sees initially, then that chaotic them trying to get in the vessel to leave, Reed and
Mhm.
whoever else. So to me, that's a lot of fill things to fill in, but you don't necessarily have to at the same time, which I think is where you're going with that.
Right, you don't have to, and you can do a lot of that in Doomsday without having ever had that iconic shot. You can have, because you have Reed Richards show up Earth 616 after the events of Fantastic Four First Steps. And let's say that is an incursion, or that is he now understands what Doctor Doom is doing. And so he's trying to bring people together and create this group that's going to deal with Doom. And it's touching on the multiversal stuff. He's all of that. And they go out to try and stop Doom, but they can't. Like Doom is always one step ahead of them, kind of like the Cabal is. They're always they're destroying the planets. So they're trying to stop Doom from destroying the other planets and basically causing the end of the multiverse in Doomsday, and they can't ever do that. It gets down to the point where there's just two left, and Doom has started them on a collision course. And so these heroes, like we already have the raft built for them to go on because they've been using it to jump around to different universes. but we get that iconic shot with some hero who maybe hasn't been a major player in this story, a character who's been left on Earth. I think Clint Barton on his farm steps
Right.
out and looks up, like somebody who hasn't been involved, but everybody still knows. And then, yeah, everything, you come back to the next movie, it's chaos.
Not bad. I definitely like the image of the incursion happening or about to happen on Earth, and you have that character.
Mhm.
So,
And you know, it's the last two universes at that point, too. Like
right.
Reed even says something like that.
Yeah. There's so much detail that goes into Secret Wars that it's hard to imagine it without having all that detail. And so I think I have to simplify things because obviously you have to do that in this.
Hmm.
Right. So I have to
Hmm.
consciously remember that it's not going to be as detailed as much as I want it to be. I want it to be intrinsic and detailed, and I don't know, but
Hmm.
it's not enough hours
Yeah.
in the day for them for that.
Yeah. And you don't even have some of the characters
Right.
still in there. So it's like we don't have a defined and set Roberto da Costa. Cap is on the moon or somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, there's no, I'm trying to think who else is
Oh, and they
major.
bring old Steve Rogers back to do
Yeah,
this. That'd be interesting.
that would be interesting, but I think that would feel a little bit too out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, yes, but I mean, who wouldn't want Chris Evans back as an old Cap,
Yeah.
you know, kind of taking over and taking control again? But
Hmm.
that's way then where's Sam, right? Have
Hmm.
him do it. He's there. He's
Yeah.
capable.
Right. Well, you'd almost have to pit Sam against Cap for
Oh
some
yeah.
element of basically being Cap, like Cap shows up at the end, it's basically like, no, this isn't the way we do stuff. And Sam's like, you've been on the moon.
Dude, you don't know what's going on.
You've been doing your own thing. You don't understand what's going on here. And that could be interesting, but
Yeah.
yeah. So there are elements I like of the theory. I do think the idea of Scarlet Witch as that Molecule Man replacement would
Hmm.
make a lot of sense. I'm also like, are they going to do Molecule Man or a Molecule Man replacement? It feels like it's such a key piece of the story. You almost need it, but
But the Wanda thing kind of works.
yeah,
She's like an anchor being
yeah.
slash, right?
Mhm.
The,
But it was more so, do you want the idea of Doom getting his power to create this from somebody else? So like a Wanda or a Loki, because I think Loki is also a very strong possibility for it too.
could you even like have it kind of curtail off into like he's also wanting to save his mom? Like Doom is
Hmm.
also, and the only way to do that is to have this type of power. Now, yeah, stealing it from somebody else versus how would he get it
Hmm.
otherwise?
Like
So
he has to convince somebody to do it.
based on the
Molecule,
Agatha rules, you mean? Or like the
no,
taking of the powers? Oh, okay.
no. Well, yes, taking it or like being given the power.
Right.
Because there has to be a reason why Scarlet Witch, Loki, Molecule Man. Now, Molecule Man in the comics kind of volunteers himself for it, but we don't have a Molecule Man that we're working with at this point in time, and that feels like a big lift.
Mm.
So, for characters like Wanda and Loki, who I'd consider probably the most likely characters to take that role, am I missing anybody?
No, I can't really think of anybody.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
especially with like Loki, Doom would have to pitch something really good to Loki. Like this is, well, I guess whoever it is, he's gonna almost have to trick them and convince them that this is the only way
right.
to do it. So I think that's I want to keep that element in the story. That's just a tricky element that has to be done really well. I think Wanda's easier for me to see. So
She's, I think, a little more manipulative. Not, I mean,
uh,
her character is,
malleable, yeah, able to be manipulated.
yeah, especially in
She's
her.
not, yeah, she's not that manipulative. She's a little bit like a straightforward character in that she's a little gullible. How about that?
Well, I think she just has lots of trauma, right?
Yes.
And so
she wants to believe the best
Right.
in people. And so if she can, like I said, if she can be pulled in and now she's convinced by Doom that this is the only way and that he is going to do this all for the greater good, then it makes sense.
And you can have your children back, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the
Like,
deal.
yeah, like I just need one Scarlet Witch. I just need one Wanda, but I can make sure that you have kids. I can save your kids
Hmm.
from whatever universe you want and bring them to Battleworld.
Right.
Turns out Battleworld, not that utopia that he was claiming it was going to be. But
Uh,
I think we could, obviously, there's so much speculation on this. We will know more next year because Doomsday is going to start filming and cast, like who's going to be in it, will start to show up.
yeah.
I believe Benedict Cumberbatch is already confirmed he's going to be in it. So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it could be, and I think there will be an element or two of what Ryan Airy said and Colton came
Yeah.
up with that turns out to be right or close
Yeah. It's
to it.
quite the theory. I mean,
Hmm.
it's very interesting. It's if anything, it's a decent theory. Whether it has to happen or is going to happen, who knows, right? But I was like, yeah, I kind of like that idea. Like if that were to be a script, I'd be like, that sounds pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
For me, my only thing was chuck the Children's Crusade stuff. It adds a layer of complexity and secondary storyline that doesn't make sense to introduce.
what are they gonna do with the Young Avengers? Like
Disney
it's
Plus
just,
show.
yeah, but for what to what end? I guess whatever. Hey, another
Hmm.
topic.
Yes.
So
Yep. But with that, let us know your thoughts on this theory. Do you enjoy it? Um, are there elements of it that you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, or okay, that maybe doesn't work so well for you?
and remember we got like the Screen Crush, right? You can go to
Hmm.
check them out on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's a fun
Understand.
video if anything. So check
Yeah,
them out.
understand it fully that way, and then let us know your thoughts on how you want Doomsday and Secret Wars and kind of that story to go. You can let us know that over on X, where you can find me at the Scando or with hashtag 10minmarvel. Leave a comment over on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/10minmarvel, or you can do the same over on YouTube. Just search for 10 Minute Marvel there. And Greg graciously gave a few ways that you can help support the podcast at the beginning. And we really do appreciate everybody who is checking out this podcast and listening to it. But we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdologists. The funds go to help improve the quality of this podcast, as well as the Melts and Meeples YouTube channel, 10 Minute Marvel YouTube channel, and nerdologist.com website. But with that, we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.